Here's the question. How do you make the impossible possible? Simple. Remove the I am, the ego. Now, how do you step into that newfound possibility? With a series of small intentional steps. Never forget, the greatest among us started from humble beginnings. But to truly unlock your potential, realize you're here for something greater. If you're yearning for more than just a good life, let's take that small step together to reach greatness. Welcome to the Greatness from Small Beginnings podcast, where we're talking to those who have gone from mediocrity to motivated, overlooked to overachieving, forgettable to unforgettable. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, and welcome back, everybody, to the Greatness from Small Beginnings podcast, which is sic, you got to go the other way, sic parvis magna. That is greatness from small beginnings. I know all about small beginnings, and most of you do too. That's why this podcast is perfect for almost everybody. There's a lot of talk in business because I'm the one talking or I'm interviewing other people, but I'm going solo again today, so there may be some of that, but I think this is going to be really practical. We're coming up soon on July 4th, Independence Day. So here is an article I found, 10 ways to embrace independence. And some of them are a little bit different in how it kind of dovetails with independence. But I thought I would share them. 10 things. The first one, keep your room clean. And that is about being purposeful, very purposeful in what you do. Set out to have a good morning routine, a good midday routine, a good evening routine. It is, I often use the term energizing. I don't mean that it wakes you up. I mean that it actually creates momentum for the next thing. So often a morning routine is that thing that creates momentum for the rest of the day, especially if it includes exercise and encouraging someone, taking into account other people and what's going on in their lives. So that can be very energizing, and it comes with being purposeful about what you do, when you do it, and then to some degree how you do it. It starts, in my mind, though, with thinking. An example I use is some of you could look up a speech that was given at a commencement, and it's an admiral in the Navy, and he's talking about making your bed to a bunch of people, and it struck me. And I don't remember what I did 10 years ago, and prior to that in my marriage. I've been married 41 years. I don't remember much of what happened there. I was almost always up before my wife, and didn't really care about making the bed. But what I've realized since then, and especially in the last 6 to 10 years, probably closer to 10, I'm hoping, that making the bed is an important act every day because it does check something off that's purposeful, that is something off the list that is important, that creates momentum for later. It's a win. But for me, it's dual purpose. My wife likes a made bed. So often, anymore, I won't say that she gets up before me, but we often get up at the same time. It's usually early. And when she is in the bathroom or whatever she's off doing, often I'll usually jump right up, bed unmade, go make the coffee, in particular for her. But in making the coffee, I'm thinking, okay, what do I do next? And I usually go check on her, see how she's doing, getting ready for work or whatever. But before I disturb her, if the bed isn't made, if she didn't do it, then I do it. I make sure that I do it. And it's because she likes it. When we both crawl out of bed together, we're on opposite sides, and I see her starting with the covers. I purposefully turn and begin to do what's necessary to make my side of the bed, pull the covers straight and all that stuff. And that is yet another win in serving the one I love the most in the world. So make your bed. But as important, I'll go back to number one, keep your room clean. I do have a pile I put stuff, but then every week or so I pick up that pile because I know it bothers her and I organize it. This is dirty. This is still usable. This could be worn again for a few hours or half a day or a whole day, whatever. And because not everything after wearing it just for one evening out is dirty. And so there is that debate all the time. So keep your room clean. We do like a clean room. Learn an in demand skill. There are lots of those. We need those for work anyway. And so learning more would be even a fantastic idea, especially in your workplace. Create and bring more value to those that you work with. And in doing that, then you enhance your own life. You energize your own life in the process. What I've done recently is I have tried to, in the business I own, I've tried to replace my position twice, and it failed twice. Now, one time it wasn't really about that we made a mistake or whatever, but he actually perhaps wasn't the perfect hire. He was capable at most of what we were asking him to do, though we didn't have a good systemic way of measuring what he did. But then I didn't improve much after that person left. I came back into the role and kept going and then hired back for it again. And that person had almost no direction. Some things happened that caused it to get worse. And I feel bad about that. Now, would that person have succeeded? Maybe not, and probably not, because they really weren't the right fit in our culture and all of that. But I made the mistake of not doing a good job in training and in having what we call KPIs, the indicators, the measurable indicators that would make sure that they're doing the right things every day, every moment of every day, that they're headed the right direction always. I'm getting better at that skill as we speak. And it's taken me a lifetime to bear down and really work at getting better at that skill. So I'm learning. Another thing that I think is disgusting in this world is often somebody about my age, 60, I'm 61, 60 years old or 65 or whatever will retire. And then they'll just build no more skills. And they're just done. Nope, gave to society. That's it. I'm going to go play. I'm just going to go be, I'm just going to give in to my pleasures for the next however many years. And to me, that's frustrating because at that point in life, you have more wisdom than you've ever had and more to pass than you've ever had. And to not grow that and then pass it to others is just beyond me to figure out. Because I want to pass good stuff to the people around me. I want to have impact. Boy Scout motto, here's the one, number 3, always be prepared. Plan for the best, but prepare for the worst. A good mountain climber will always tell you that. A good businessman will always prepare you that. You predict the problems that are coming, but not with a pessimism, with an optimism, with a say, yeah, a realism that says this could happen. This is what I want to happen. This is what I'm planning for, but here's what I'm preparing for just in case. Dave Ramsey is a great advocate for that, planning financially and all that. You get back, you look at some of his books, listen to his videos, and you'll hear it very clearly. Number 4, know yourself. This is a lifetime thing that you have to do to embrace your own independence, because you can be stuck in other people's expectations for decades and not know actually what your purpose is and what you're on earth for and what you really like and don't like. It may be about others all the time. And that is not necessarily good from the standpoint if you know yourself, then you can capture the things that energize you. And that energy then can create the impact that you want to have in your life in a purposeful, because you know your purpose, manner. So that is number 4. Number 5, stand up for your values. Kind of like number 4, you have to actually think. about, well, what are my values? What is my purpose on this earth? And you will find your purpose to some degree based on the values that you are willing to live no matter what. And that's the way I discovered my values, is to dig in and say, what are the things in my life that I will not allow to go away? And I have come up with 4 personal values and 3 family values. And the company has a value system that we talk about all the time, that we hire and fire by. And it's similar in the family, is that I present these values, and they're a little bit aspirational, and yet we already do them to some great degree. So stand up for your values is the first step, is to know them. And then when they're functional values that work in the culture and in society today, then you stand up for them and you say, this is what I value. And no matter what other people think, I value this, and therefore it is the way it's going to be. For me, that's the way it's going to be. For fathers, if you say you value your family and yet you work all week, 40, 50 hours, and then you go golfing every Saturday, that actually doesn't look to me like you value your family, because you're already away from them. And then 18 holes of golf takes at least 4 hours. And then there's the time before and after the prep. So it's a 6 hour turnaround. You might as well be at work 6 days a week. But so to me, that exhibits what you actually value. When you put it in your calendar, you put your family in your calendar first. And some of that is on Saturdays for their sports, their tournaments, the spending time with them at the zoo or whatever it is. Then that shows you value them. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have an occasional golf game with friends or a tournament that would be super fun, that kind of thing. That should be part of life too. You know, and there's the counterpart for women, which I can't speak as closely to. I just know that there's a lot of dad guilt surrounding working a lot. And then if I do anything extra, it takes away from my family. Now, I'm a little bit hypersensitive that way, so you can't probably go with only what I say in regards to that. But your calendar should represent your values. And then you should stand on those. When your friends stand up against you and say, hey, why aren't you going golfing? What's up with that? Does your wife run you, or whatever? And then you say, well, no, I value my family. And then you present it in a way that says, this is how. And you stand up for your values. You can do that politically, spiritually, family values, marriage. You stand up for your wife. You don't say bad things about your wife. You don't insult her in public. You only say encouraging things. These are standing up for your values if that's what you value. Number 6, give your work your all. When you're being paid by a customer or by your boss, who gets paid by the customer, you need to perform. You need to produce. And you should embrace your independence by putting your hand to the plow in a constructive, wholehearted way. And that is actually embracing an independence, though for some listening, that may seem contrary, but it absolutely is not contrary to embracing independence. It's actually speaking of energizing, it energizes your ability to have more independence and more liberty one day in your life, because you will create more possibilities through the advancement and the dollars that you create by being a really good employee or really good at what you do. That leans back on number 2, where you learn more skills, then you become more valuable to your boss and to your company and to the world. That was number 6. Number 7, own your mistakes. Man, this is something in this world that is very, very rare. And people just fill the air with words to overcome some argument or say that they can't give in. They can't give in to this, that, and it makes no sense to me. Just just own your mistakes, give in just enough to say, yeah, I could have done better. Because in almost every case, you could have done better. Almost no doubt about it. And when it comes to resolving a conflict in a relationship, I mentioned to somebody recently, well, maybe you should just apologize. I'm not apologizing because I did nothing wrong. Well, it's not about doing right or wrong. It's about the fact that you were interpreted as being critical. Well, is somebody interpret you as being critical? Is that apology worthy? Well, often it is, even though was it wrong in the grand moral or ethical sense or the spiritual sense? Maybe not. Maybe it wasn't sin that's going to send you to hell. But was it wrong to treat somebody like that when the was out of context, or you just kind of said something that was uncaring or a little off color? Well, just apologize, own your stuff, own your mistakes. And if there was some intention behind the mistakes, then own that too. Mistakes are mistakes, and those are easy to say, well, that just happened and it shouldn't have, and oops, my bad. But then there are things that intentionally we try something and it doesn't work and it hurts others, or we blow up, or we get angry, or we become emotional in ways that we shouldn't have become emotional. We need to own those things. Those are not mistakes, but we need to own those too. Number 8, embrace responsibility. A big key in embracing independence is be responsible. Be responsible for yourself in every possible way. Spiritually, emotionally, financially, physically, psychologically, like for your own health. You know, be responsible for your workout routine, get your body back in shape, all these things that are microcosms of the grander picture of taking responsibility. And goes back to the last one and many of these others. When you mess up, own it. When you don't know yourself well enough, then know yourself. Put yourself into your work. Anyway, there's a lot that could be said for embracing responsibility. But the main thing is just say, how do I do that in this case? How do I take responsibility, not take it from someone else, but own what is mine, given by God, given by parents, given by bosses, given by customers, given because you volunteered, whatever you're responsible for, embrace it. And because of that, you'll end up embracing your own liberty because you've made the choice and you're living that choice out. Number 9, very interesting one that is why it's included in this list. I was confused at first, but I looked into it deeper in my own life and I realized that it's true. If I'm to embrace independence, I need to understand where it came from. I need to think deeply about my own independence and what that does to, again, energize my life, energize my future. But embracing curiosity is a huge factor for me. Am I curious about how I can get better as a person? Am I curious about how I can serve my community and do more for the people around me? Am I curious about how I become more holy and righteous? Am I curious when I look at scripture and want to understand what's there? Am I curious of why my people at work uh, do things a certain way or can't produce like this when I think they should be able to? What's behind that? So embracing curiosity, I think, is a really good life tool that is a skill that can be built over time. And most of us have it already, but we should build a deeper skill in that curiosity thing. And then I saw uh, a thing today I was reading that said, well, why don't you just get on, instead of scrolling your social media, why don't you get on YouTube and look for information, look for things that you're curious about? And I thought, oh, that fits right there with this. So we can use the time we have that we're already using for something else. We can use it to embrace independence by being more curious, especially when we look back at history and how our independence was created, because it was people put effort into this. And how did that happen? Embrace curiosity. That's number 9. Number 10, always be learning. It's very similar to some of the others. Always be learning. Now, I believe that if we don't learn, we're dead. I was talking to a 21-year-old this last week, and he actually thought the same thing. I made some comments similar to that, and he said, "Oh, I think if you're not learning, then you're checked out." And that's good to know that he feels that way. And he's young and Generation Z or whatever he is, but he sees it. But he also was born in another country, which actually is really important part of that. Are the people that were born here, do they have as much drive to always be learning, to be curious, to know themselves and think deeply? I don't know. I know some do, because I have some on my team around the company that I help run that are awesome young people. And so I'm encouraged by that. So that is 10 things. Let me read them again. Keep your room clean. That's number 1. Number 2, learn an in-demand skill. Keep learning. Always be prepared. Prepare for the worst, plan for the best. Know yourself. Dig deep. The more you know yourself, the more you're going to do these other things, because you'll understand your own capability even deeper and your own downfalls. Number 5, stand up for your values. Always stand up for your values. Number 6, give your work your all. Number 7, own your mistakes. Number 8, embrace responsibility. Number 9, embrace curiosity. Enhance that part of your life, and you will be amazed at what you learn. And then always be learning is number 10. Thank you for tuning in to this. And I appreciate you considering these things as we come up towards Independence Day here in America, and reflect on the things and the who has given us, has built, has embraced independence and liberty themselves, and then done the hard things to put it in place for us. So one of the things that I love to do is read quotes as I finish. Bear with me. I'm going to look one up. And I'm going to talk about you in it real quick. Is about greatness. And Zig Ziglar, I probably will get it wrong. I should have written it down just before we started, but he basically says, you were built for this. You were built for greatness. You were built with an innate ability to create and do more. And you have a greatness inside you that is beyond what you may even recognize at this point, even if you already recognize it. But then I finish every time with the call to action. It's a choice. Now go be great.